All right. There's no name. There's no title. There's no obligation. No filter. No whatever. We can only talk about and love something if anyone listening to us can understand the type of fans you and I are. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, like, you and I have had, a few conversations about how certain fans act and deal with anything, life, their fandoms, their, whatever. And so we're just gonna talk about that and us for now. Me personally, and I'm a my base form fan is happy to have something. You know,
Okay.
I'm happy that someone took the time to make something. I'm happy that they invested money in it because otherwise we could be getting the, Mission Impossible 18s. We could be getting the, Jurassic Park, 27s, so it's something, eventually seeing a book or seeing something, anime, comic, or whatever, something that I love, get any kind of recognition. It's just at times it's happy to have, happy to be a part of. I have recently, and I am going to save this big topic for another project that I'm on. Just bullying or whatever. But I'm not. I've recently been burned enough to be upset about. You know, most times it's you know, that's not how that went, or I can see why they changed that, and then you're able to get past it and continue to enjoy it. But there's this one, one series that they touched that I'm like, that's just so many times that you could have just left it alone. We talked about it before. You just boycotted the whole thing. You said no. So talk about Last of
Yeah.
Us. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but
it's
go ahead.
no, no. I'm just saying like there's fans. There's fans everywhere that if we have this it's hard. Fandom is very difficult because I think that when there's a production taking place, if you're the person, like if you're James Gunn or if you're Kevin Feige or if you're any one of these executives that's in charge of like a fan base's reaction to a product, especially with when you're dealing with IPs that are older than even us, like some of these IPs are like 80 years old. Like you have Star Wars, for example, that's spanned over like I think like 6 or 7 generations. There's people that swear by what now the new fan base is calling Star Wars Legends, wherein for a long
Yeah,
time it was canonical. Like when
I,
when I was
someone said no, not someone. Sketch was the one that told me that what they did was they separated the universes from like, and correct me if I'm wrong, separated the universes from like the movies and the books, and certain parts of Star Wars is considered Star Wars legacy or legends, and some is canon. What they want you to see as this is the Star Wars universe, and that's mostly just the movies and TV shows, correct?
yes, but there's a problem with the way they're doing it. So I hope you understand that and this is important for anybody that's consumed any Star Wars content outside of the movies. And this is where we talk about like the type of fan you are. You see, if you're the sort of fan that all you did was pay attention to the major market um, productions, like i.e., the biggest things that they put money to, like Clone Wars, the
Yeah,
show, Ahsoka's story, and things like that. Those things right there are what the fan base accepted a lot by and large. And I'd welcome anybody to challenge that. But by and large, most if not all of the fan base took like we took to that where a lot of the fans that were there before any of this stuff started to be turned into media, as far as like TV productions
yeah, yeah.
or animations. Um, like me, I started reading the books like, you know, everything that happened after Return of the Jedi, you know, the things that happened between the new trilogy with Anakin and the original trilogy, to find out actually what happens in between and how it all translates. Those are all books that are written, and some of the and even after Return of the Jedi, one of the best authors of Star Wars was a guy called Timothy Zahn. Now,
Okay.
if you know who Timothy Zahn is, they're stealing all of his actual work and then picking and choosing what parts of it gets put into anything new Star Wars.
Oh, so
Um,
like most of these new stories is from his books.
they're cherry picking. Like Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of the most like he was one of the coolest antagonists in Star Wars. Grand Admiral Thrawn was so scary to the Emperor that he'd send him on like on dummy missions because he didn't want him close.
All right.
So so when the Empire falls, right? Grand Admiral Thrawn finds out like 15 years later because nobody tells him. So when he's coming back to the core systems, he's finding out like, you know, Luke won, the Empire's scattered. He's over here trying to put together the last remnants of the Empire, and he's doing it so methodically, and you figure out why the Emperor was so afraid of him. Like the Emperor had a healthy fear and respect for this guy who didn't have the Force. He had no Force. He was just hyper intelligent
Okay.
from a race of aliens called the Chiss. But the point is that
How you spell
those
his name?
stories, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I got it.
So you this is like the same series of books in which Luke Skywalker meets the woman that would become his future wife, and you know he's just coming into his own as the Jedi Knight. You know what I mean? And he's trying to figure out a way to start the new Jedi Order, but he can't figure all that out until they bring back all the core worlds. Yeah, that's the man right there. Like they're doing new stuff with this guy that they like if Grand Admiral Thrawn was used the way they originally used him in the Timothy Zahn books, we'd be having a different conversation about Star Wars. Like he's a beautiful bad guy. He's one of my favorite.
Really?
Uh,
So
the
so
ev-
so the Emperor, this guy, I assume this guy.
no, Thrawn is the blue guy.
Well, no, Thrawn's a blue guy, but this is the Emperor that sent him away.
No, that's the Emperor is Palpatine.
Oh, okay.
Emperor
So
Palpatine.
Palpatine sent him away because of his intellect. Didn't, which he does do that. He does send people he's nervous about as far fucking away from him as possible.
Yeah,
But
that's
so
why
he
Vader
sent
was a
him away
Mustafar.
forever, and so his storyline is just spreading the Empire's reach where he is.
Yeah,
Okay. And so he finds out 15 years later that the Empire
don't quote me
fell.
on 15 years. Don't
Well,
quote me on
it's
15 years. It was the Empire was still splintered because it was like, you know, not too long after Luke and Leia and Han and all of them destroyed the Empire as we know it, and they were trying to like pull the Senate back together, like, hey, you know, the Empire's gone. We need to make a republic. It needs to be democratic again, like it used to be.
oh, is this a their story or is he in her show?
Yeah, he ends up being mentioned in, you know, Ahsoka, but you know, again, this is them recreating something from someone else's work, and this is the problem I have with even their uses of him in Rebels. Great that you pulled that one up. I had a problem with all of it. The problem is that because nobody's giving Timothy Zahn his due. Now I don't know what Timothy Zahn feels like personally about his character being used this way, but Grand Admiral Thrawn became a character in Star Wars because it was approved by George Lucas. Every character in the Legends is approved specifically by George Lucas.
Before
You
it
can
crosses over.
before they give it to Disney, in order to create a character in Star Wars, you had to go to George Lucas. If you want to write a book
Okay,
about
okay,
Star
okay.
Wars,
Okay.
you went to George. If you didn't go to George, it's not a book.
If he gave one of these,
It's not
yeah.
canon. If it's like this, it's canon. You know,
If he say that, do you not wait? So I mean, you brought it to him to make it canon, i.e., let it
yes,
be, let it move from someone's just writing a Star Wars book to this Star Wars book, and this setting and these characters are now part of the actual Star Wars universe. Okay, so when it goes from legends to canon.
Well, it wasn't.
Well, in a way, whatever the terminology is.
Yeah. So now that the past. All right. So Legends is something that's so brand new. It's about as new as Kathleen Kennedy's tenure at the top. That's how new that is. Soon as we decided as a society that we were gonna, and I hate to make this a Star Wars session, but as soon as we decided,
this is whatever we talk because I'm talking about Resident Evil after this, just so you know.
Oh, perfect. So as soon as we had the okay to go into, as soon as we had the okay to go into Rey's story and all of that, that's when we had to make other things legend. Because you have to understand, how do we get to, Luke Skywalker saves the galaxy to all of a sudden he's a decrepit old man. You have to erase a lot of that stuff in between. So in and of itself, if you don't show what happened with Luke Skywalker post the Empire, right? If you just leave it alone, it makes it so if you're not a real fan of the original works, it makes it so there is room for Rey to exist. Because we're counting on nobody having had read the books, the mass public.
Okay.
But I read the books, so I know that Rey shouldn't exist. If we're going by the original manuscripts that were created post Return of the Jedi, she shouldn't exist. It should be Luke Skywalker running his school. If we're going to go that far into the future, it should be his children. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like some.
So, question. So that said, with Rey is a. So you see what I got up right now about refers to non-canon content for Star Wars universe and comes in books, comics, video games published before Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2014. So that said, does that means instead of them, like you said, focusing on the fact that Luke creates a school and does all that, is Rey a character created by Disney for Star Wars?
It's a Disney IP. She is a pure Disney creation. She's a Disney creation. You might as well call her a Disney princess. But because she did have that little talking Furby with her and all of that, whatever it was. But the thing is, if you look at what they did beyond 2014, you can't trust Disney with Star Wars as far as IP goes, because what happened is they took everything that the fan base approved of, right, and they're cherry picking parts of it that they want to use. But they don't have an accurate way to move on from Luke Skywalker. But what they don't know is that the fan base will only move on from Luke Skywalker or the Skywalker name if you do it the right way. Because there's the Disney princess is a female protagonist from a Disney animated film, was either born into royalty, married into royalty, or performed a significant act of heroism. Ding, ding, ding.
They must also have a primary role in the film and be introduced in the original movie, not a sequel. Hers is the original movie, technically, or it's not a sequel.
Well, Rise of the Skywalker is what is it? The Force Awakens is an original movie. I mean, it's, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so and technically Leia is a princess then.
So damn.
I mean, that means nothing for Rey.
Yeah. Now we're gonna have to definitely do a super centric Star Wars episode, because I would love to hear you and Sketch talk about this shit, because it's one of the few IPs that I know enough to be dangerous with the knowledge, but not enough to piece a whole bunch of stuff together, or whatever. So it's saying, like you said, past 2014, anything
can't really trust it.
You can't really trust it because it's whatever Disney wants to do with it.
Anybody that's old enough will know that this is not even.
A true fan, episode
Mhm.
topic. True fan understands that
No,
Disney
this is
has bought it in 2014 and done whatever they want with it. If they like, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Let me try to quantify how much they actually own. So 2014 started. Anything with the Star Wars names attached to it, 2014
can't trust it.
belong belong to Disney. Those
No.
are the books, those are the games, those are whatever. It has Star Wars on it. It belonged to Disney.
Yes.
People are still writing in the expanded universe and creating more legends, but they are not part of the Disney core Star Wars anymore.
And that's the strange thing. All right. So you remember Force Unleashed, the game?
Yeah, really good
It's
game.
still
That's a Star Killer. Star Killer, right?
100% fantastic game. Showed you the upper limits of telekinetic force abilities. And it also showed you what happens when you have someone that has, see, in Star Wars, there's force abilities and then there's forced talents.
Okay.
A talent is something you have to be born with inside the force.
Yep.
If you can show us eventually what force talents are maybe a letter episode. Uh, if you look at Mace Windu's force talent was shatter points. Now, shatter points is something that not every Jedi can have. It also made him very dangerous, combined with his fighting style of Vapad. So, the unleashed power is what the Force Unleashed was about. He was able to do extreme things with his force powers. But other than that, there was no other significant talent that he had. So everything that he did with the force was extreme. That's what
Mm.
the unleashed talent was.
Okay. Okay.
Like he could pull star destroyers from the sky, stop an airplane in mid-flight, that sort of stuff. Not everybody can do it, but this guy was like almost as comparable as a Skywalker as far as force talents go. Like, so in the Force Unleashed, that game was a game that was created prior to the 2014 takeover.
Okay.
If you look at that game, right, everybody in the Star Wars community, execs on down, said this is part of the universe. This is something Vader would have done.
Okay.
And you know the whole point of the Star Wars Unleashed was Vader was trying to create an apprentice to help him destroy the Emperor. But it backfired on him. The entire time he was training him. He was trying to make him his. All right, so one thing you don't know is the original name for Luke Skywalker is Luke Starkiller.
Okay.
George Lucas couldn't get away with that name because of the obvious implication, Star Killer. So, to lighten the load on that name, they were like Skywalker.
Okay.
Skywalker sounds cool,
So Star Killer was a fucking homage to the original
Bad,
name for.
yeah, evil
Okay.
Luke.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that's why it looks cool when, if you know enough, you're watching Star Killer hang out with Vader as his like dark apprentice sort of thing, the secret
Because in the
apprentice.
alternate timeline, that could have been Luke Skywalker.
Well, even in the same timeline, the thing is, there's a lot of time that happens between the time that Vader becomes Vader and Vader gets destroyed. There's a lot of time. So this could happen at any point. You have to understand, in the books, it is specific when it shows you that Vader is constantly trying to kill the Emperor. That's the type of relationship they have. And the thing is, every time that Vader fails, the Emperor laughs and goes, "Oh, I see you next time." Like this has happened. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like I read the books. Vader tries to like pull something, it fails, and he goes, "Vader, I'll holler at you, brother." That's why Vader lives in Mustafar. Vader doesn't live in the same place as the Emperor because the Emperor don't want to die.
You don't have to deal with them some peeking in the brain shit every
Yeah,
day.
it's like an ex-wife. You only deal with it when you have to. So
Uh, You're right. I ain't try to. It's gonna be on it. It's gonna be on the internet. So I gotta watch what I say for a couple more years.
But
So,
you
but
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
He'd have him out in Mustafar, the same place that created him. You know, when he got his leg chipped off, got burnt up, he leaves him there. And then Vader's cool with that because Vader's like, this is the place I was born, you know. And then that's where he like hones in on his pain, and that's where he lives. But the entire time, Vader's looking for a way to murder the Emperor. He just can't. Remember, the Emperor told him. The Emperor told him when Anakin started first getting inklings that the Emperor was Palpatine, like and one and the same and all that. He was like, I knew of a Sith that could create life and all of this other stuff, right? And he told them, or what, they, as further conversations happened, he told them, I killed my master in his sleep, or he died in his sleep, or something like that, implying that he murdered him. So why would a guy that murdered his own master in his sleep, telling his
Not
apprentice he
expected.
did that, not expect to get murdered in his sleep? So that's why he had Thrawn over there somewhere, Anakin always over there somewhere. Anakin was always on a wild goose chase. When he became Vader, hey man, go hunt Jedis.
Over there, I need you in this specific
Yeah, just keep
quadrant.
hunting Jedi. That's why if you watch Starkiller's hunting Jedis
Why?
for Vader.
So in your opinion, why wouldn't they follow this storyline? And we're gonna talk about this again. Why wouldn't they follow this storyline? That's an amazing storyline. I would love from an alternate side in a Star Wars universe when all you get is Sith are bad, Jedi are good. Let's focus on the Jedi stories, and then you do things like you create the Acolyte, and it's a show that's not super great, and you teetered with Sith to make it sexy, but not enough to make it informational. And because I would love to see a young Anakin with a fresh fucking Darth Vader suit on, recovering, blaming everyone for what happened, and going right after Palpatine first, and then being humble, being like, "Yeah, you're not there yet, YN. Come back a little bit later, man. You can't fuck with Unc right now. Go over there, fucking and hunt these fucking Jedi and chill, man. Don't come in with that little shit. Learn how to
Mm-hmm.
squabble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get out of here, man. So I get that. You send Darth Vader packing and shit like that, but I would love to see
Yeah,
it. That would be
yeah.
really really cool to see. I would love to see that.
Hey, yeah, Palpatine's like an old mob boss when he does it. He goes, yeah, because you know how he sits in his chair, right? You know, he sits in his chair. He goes, Vader. He goes, Lord Vader. You have done well. You have much to learn. Away with you. And then he'll tell somebody, go take care of Vader, clean him up. You know what I mean? Clean Vader up. And Vader go to the back of the tank to get cleaned up by all the robots and whatnot. Then he go off to his room out in Mustafar. You know what I'm
Dude,
saying?
uh,
And
this
it's
all
happened
this
several times.
this all to say, everyone, that like when you're a fan, and then our boy attested this too, but when you're a fan and you know that backstory, when you're a fan like myself who doesn't know so much about a series as a whole, just happy to have something can hurt in it sometimes, you know, because just happy to have something makes it okay that they changed the whole, they ignored entire in my eyes as a fan, when you create something, and I'll give you an example, something that did really good with this, even though the execution is a little bit wonky. When as a fan, if you were to start a series in a medium, i.e., we're just talking going from like books and comics and whatever to the big screen, whether that's TV or theater, you start at the beginning, right? Which I understand. You can't always, and that's and now I assume, and I put okay. How can I say this? I put you can't always in a category of back when the technology wasn't there, the budget wasn't there, and the writers and the ideas were not there. That that's the idea But that's 80s. That's 90s. That's 80s when George Lucas couldn't tell the story he wanted to tell with 1 through 3. He had to give you the story in the middle because it's the 80s. We need ships blowing up. We need force chokes. We need lightsaber battles. We need all of that, the boosting, because, and you know me, I say this all the time. We can't give anyone anything without having something to build on. Right? So George Lucas knew I can't sell, little Anakin racing in the desert yet. Can't sell it yet. I can't sell fucking Anakin is now Darth Vader. Fucking, but he used to be the chosen one.
The chosen
his son is now, and he can sell that. So, but now we're in 2025. When you're making stuff and you're talking about stuff, when you got all this media behind it, and you want to, and I'm gonna use Star Wars as an example. Because of where we are, Star Wars is a prime example to me that you can start where you want in time. You can, but you pick it. All this jumping around and different settings or whatever, if you do a bunch of stuff centered, you can spread it on. I think this idea that Disney has when they're throwing too many things at the wall and seeing what sticks is ruining the franchise as a whole, and any franchise that does it, because you're just seeing what people, and I get that's how you see what people like, but you don't have to put out just random stuff to put out stuff. And for example, I think of a series that's doing a good job of going back to the beginning is Dune. Dune created Dune. Everyone knows where Dune starts, but everyone knows the story of Dune, how it ends up. What it's not really about, John Atreides' character as a whole. It's about his kids. So Dune started with that. They have a Dune show that went back to the beginning of the Bene Gesserit, and that's what I want to see. While again, I say that show wasn't executed the best way I feel like it could have been, it was a great start of a franchise to say, look, guy, we started here. I mean, we got 10,000 years to fill before the movie. Let's fill it out. Now, in my opinion, they need to be going after these books that all these people have written about Dune. All of these fucking fan fiction that got publications that turn into 2 and 3 sequels or whatever. You go talk to those people, you bring them in-house, and you say, how do we do this correctly? How do we get this series and these stories and these? We got 10,000 years to film. Don't worry about the stuff we already know that's going to happen. Don't worry about the Dune movies that are happening when we know that his kids are coming and what happens to the kids and who ultimately. Let's fill these 10,000 years.
But you know what ends up happening though? Continuity is a tricky thing.
And I get that too. I get continuity is a very, 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 very tricky thing. That's why I feel like picking a place and kind of sticking there instead of jumping all the way around helps with it.
Well, all right. So
in my opinion.
No, you're right. Continuity is a tricky thing when you don't have rules that you go by. So, for example, not that they say it specifically in anything in Dune, but we all know that Leto Atreides, where he stood, like we knew everything that had to happen.
Yeah.
For this guy, I feel horrible that I forget his name. To be the Kwisatz Haderach, Jesus, the Atreides son. What's the last son of the Atreides? What's his name?
John.
No, his name ain't John.
Are you talking about his son?
Muad'Dib.
Yeah, that's what they call him in the
Fremen.
The Fremen. That's the Fremen language.
But what's his name? Is it John? Is it that simple? I don't think his name is John. Let me see. Let me see, because I don't feel good saying Atreides. Oh, it's Paul Atreides.
Paul Atreides.
It was John. It was Paul.
Yeah, that's an interchangeable name. And it's
Yeah,
what you know.
yeah.
What's crazy thing about it? I have that guy in Call of Duty. I got his skin in Call of Duty.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah, you don't do Call of Duty, right?
I don't. I used to. I don't do Call of Duty anymore because there's an there's an element of when I used to play. I people used to hide in bushes that were like.
It's a little different, but it's a lot of the same. So I mentioned, and that was so like we said, as a fan of something, watching it change a little bit, I am a huge Resident Evil fan. Okay,
Mm,
I um I've been a fan of Resident Evil since Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation. Biohazard
okay.
for the OGs, y'all know. Resident Evil 2 holds a very special place in my heart because my mom didn't know what a memory card was and how game saves and all that stuff worked. So me and my brother didn't have a memory card to play. And Resident Evil 2 was actually my first Resident Evil, but obviously we started at the beginning. But we didn't have a memory card to save. So what we would do, my brother didn't like it. He didn't like those type of games, but he loved watching it because Resident Evil games has always been like watching a movie. And so what we would do is play Resident Evil. I could make it in Resident Evil 2 all the way to the sewers with the alligator without dying once. No saves, without dying. That's the furthest I made it as a child, and we would leave the PlayStation on. We would get messed up a little bit after that or whatever, but huge Resident Evil fan. Every game that came out, you should see my fucking PlayStation library. I got every Resident Evil game. I'm talking about the PS3 versions, the PS4 versions, the PS5 versions. Got them on Xbox, got them on Steam. I'm a huge fan of the series. So when these movies start being made and these movies start being whatever, I'm like, okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. But that's when you realize that sometimes just happy to have something isn't always great. And it's my firm belief to take something and don't tell me this is what it is, because and the books aren't a really a huge
I'm
example
listening.
because, and I got you, a lot of the books follow the games almost to a T somewhat with a few deeper uh explanations of like the science behind things and stuff like that or whatever, but for the most part the story comes from the games. And so when and this is what I say when it comes to things, don't say this is Resident Evil. This is something based in the Resident Evil universe. And as far as I'm concerned, that's when you save yourself and give yourself so much grace when you say this is in the Resident Evil universe. They gave us Resident Evil, said this is Resident Evil, and then they gave us Alice. And I'm not saying that Alice is not a great character. I'm not saying that people don't know that the T virus does give you special abilities. The T virus does mutate people in special different ways, and this, that, and the other. Cloning, we found out that there's a shit ton of Alice's getting cloned and shit like that. All that shit is all fucking cool. It's all shit that Umbrella would be doing. But you don't tell me that that's Resident Evil. It's a Resident Evil story, as far as I'm concerned. That's a as far as I'm concerned, those could have been called Umbrella. Umbrella 1, Umbrella 2, 3, 4, 6, Umbrella Raccoon Diaries, Umbrella, Resident Evil, not Resident Evil.
Yeah,
So when they went and they did the Resident Evil Return to Raccoon City, I will say can't comment on the Resident Evil series. I didn't watch it. I've seen the CGI stuff. I've seen the Resident Evil movies. I have not seen the Resident Evil show, so I cannot comment on it. But all the other stuff, even the revamp that they did recently with a Welcome to Raccoon City was a step up because it had the same characters. It didn't just have the names and randomly 4 movies later, fucking Chris Redfield showing up in the movie, shit like that. Yeah, I'm just saying. But so that the Welcome to Raccoon City stuck to the same kind of thing, as in like it was in the same town and same whatever, but we getting a redo. I don't know when it's coming. but we getting a redo soon, and they said they sticking closer to the movies and shit like that. Yeah, okay, September 18th, a new Resident Evil movie reboots in development. Zach Krager, he's the guy who did made the movie Barbarian. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Not yet. Not yet. I
Okay,
ain't catch
okay.
Barbarian yet.
All right, Barbarian. It's a crazy movie, man. You and I got some watch parties, man.
Oh,
Woo.
dude, I downloaded Plex over here, but we'll talk
All
about
right,
that.
I will get that set up right after this. This reboot is described as a return to the horror roots of the franchise and departure from boom. This reboot
The
will
action.
focus on a single protagonist's journey to Raccoon City, and that's fine. This is a movie based in Resident Evil. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what it is. They can call it what they want. We'll talk about it when whatever. But being
I,
fans, you know,
I,
go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, I'm a fan of Resident Evil. Like you, I started my journey through the series of Resident Evil like every kid in the 90s. You know, PlayStation comes out between 95 and 96 in the US. We all started getting, the Resident Evil games. It was brand new. Like, there was nothing like it. The only thing closer to that, there was
Was
nothing like that.
I mean, it had Alone in the Dark around that time as well. Um, Silent Hillish.
But Silent Hill was given birth by like things like this. Like, so all right, I'll tell you, the Resident Evil series kind of reminds me of the way of Walking Dead kind of started. See, The Walking Dead, people didn't want to give Walking Dead a shot. It was a comic book. Nobody wanted to give Walking Dead a shot. Now it can't stop being made.
Dude,
Right?
4 spinoffs.
Yeah,
Daryl got
worldwide.
a spinoff. Uh, uh, Rick and Michonne got a spinoff. Um, blah, 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 Negan and Glenn's wife got a spinoff. I want to say there's one more too. Let's see.
There's a bunch, but while you look that up, to make my point hit home, is what I'm saying is that the difference between the Resident Evil franchise um, and Walking Dead is that The Walking Dead was able to thrive off of low expectations. When Resident Evil came out, it created a universe, right? It created a whole genre of zombie that we hadn't seen before. It wasn't just zombies. It was an action horror. Like when we watched Night of the Living Dead, it was just horror. There was no fighting no zombies. You got to hold up in the house. When you do Resident Evil 1, they're running into the mansion, but they go to the mansion armed to the teeth, and then they're fighting their way through it and out of it. There was no like, it ends with us dying in this house. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the original Living Dead, you just done, So what I'm saying is that, like Walking Dead, Resident Evil thrived off low expectations, but like Walking Dead, Resident Evil delivered high. The difference is that Walking Dead is still sort of owned by the same people that started it, and Capcom has had a stranglehold, production-wise, or develop. Oh, they get to publish Resident Evil games. What they get to do is pick and choose how and what they're publishing. The creators no longer have power at that point, because now Resident Evil is this machine that has to constantly change, because you can't do the same thing. If you remember, you ever played the first three? The first three Resident Evil games are the
No,
most classic.
I agree.
One,
The,
two,
the the first 3 maintained and held on to the majority of the story. That was the Stars team got a fucking notification there was something going on. That was the mansion. The part 2 was a new recruit coming in and the sister guy coming in, but they're in Raccoon City, which still has issues from what happened at the mansion. Resident Evil 3 is Jill coming back from her mission, her fucking mission in the mansion, and then trying to escape Raccoon City. And then it's like, okay, those 3 are the most critical to the story because it tells the solid, this is what's been happening, and you guys need to know that this is what this fucking company did to this town and this surrounding area. Then 4 takes you
Code Veronica.
to then the Code Veronica was the first departure away from everything. Yes, and that's one of my favorites as well. And this also the one I think needs to get the remake. Code Veronica drops down into where they're not so focused on Raccoon City. They just continue the story. There's a company that makes zombies. We're trying to figure out why. Claire's looking for Chris. 4 goes into Leon. He's Secret Service. Where would you go after fucking surviving a zombie and fucking apocalypse, a mini zombie
Yeah, right.
apocalypse? Why wouldn't you go to Secret Service? So he's in Secret
Protecting the
Service
president's
doing
daughter.
protecting the president's daughter and shit. He's chasing after shit. It gets getting a little crazy after that. Umbrella's still
But
involved. I get the idea how the T virus strain stemmed from the parasites that were in 4, and so I they tied it in great, but then it's a departure from their zombies until you're dealing with this. 6 is the same. I mean, 5 is the same thing. 6, Leon in the city, but zombie mutation bioweapon. I think more was 6. Oh, that was maybe Chris's part. But then
that's true.
and then 7 and 8, huge departure from Resident Evil as a whole, from the Resident Evil games to the survival horror of what they are. Different aspect. But then 9 is gonna be back. 9 Requiem is going back to
Back to the original.
that third trilogy. As far as I'm concerned, that's after, not after 3, but it's in the place of, it's to continue that 3 story on. We're back in Raccoon City. This is the aftermath. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
but that's the thing. You see, you see, in order to hook us, you're a bigger fan of Resident Evil than me. I'm a fan, but I would like to say, I don't like to say I'm a lay fan of Resident Evil. I like to say that I'm a little bit better than a lay fan. Um, but you're invested in a way that I have years. I have years into Star Wars the way you have years into Resident Evil. I like to say it like that. You're like a vet. So as a person that looking forward to this new series of productions in Resident Evil, what I'd like to ask you, as a true blue, tried and true fan of that genre, is: are you looking forward to them getting back to what we like to call their roots? Of like survival action horror, and not so like MCU-ish, because I feel like we got to a point where people were telepaths. You had you know they
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
know what I mean. It was more like Parasite Eve than Resident Evil.
And then yeah, because then you got to think about all of the Resident Evil, the Revelation games. Those were wild, and those stories were wild. Um, so as far as my would not having an issue with most of the how the games are played, just again noting that it's a deviation from the original story, the overall arcing story being there's a mega corporation umbrella that's causing wreaking havoc on the world, and it took a zombie outbreak in this small city to create all of these task force and all this shit and all this other stuff you like go and in a way shut down umbrella and its you know the umbrella companies, under it, right? So, but
Yeah,
like, or above it, whatever the fuck. So, because they do change like names and shit like that. I'm interested in them going back to their roots because, as a fan, what I didn't get was okay. Let me say this first. I don't expect everything to be a 1-for-1. That's why the game is played. That's why the game is played. That's why the cutscenes are there. While it's a beautiful thing to see it in person acted out by someone who looks like the person or someone who's who you know acting well in that role. I'm gonna say that too because whatever the fuck, it don't matter to me as long as the performance is done. You can get
right.
past that. So what I want is for them to tell the Resident Evil story and fill in the blanks of the things that we should know that the later story filled out. Like we shouldn't have to wait until Code Veronica, not and not like spoil super things or whatever. Let's do like this. I mean more of like all of those. My perfect Resident Evil movie. Part one, obviously, you focusing on the stars people. They get their call in. They should just take it from the first book, to be honest. But get that call in. They go to the mansion and split thing. We're seeing what instead of fucking never seeing what Wesker's doing until the fucking end. You wanna write some shit and fill in some blanks. Show us what Wesker's doing. Show us the flashbacks to and all those notes that you're finding in the game. Script that out, write and film those things,
Dude,
and show that shit out.
dude, what you're upset about right now is American storytelling.
Not okay. And my American storytelling, and maybe yeah, you're right. And not maybe you're correct. My thing is there's room for everything, but not at the expense of watering down an actual event in game.
But you touched on something, and I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it without giving it its proper due. And I think that what you're talking about, like especially when you pick up a note, or you know, let's say the first time you have this stars member put two herbs together, you know, you know what I mean? I don't think that you should show every time, but in essence and spirit of the game, right? Because as stars members, when we're playing this game through the guise of like, Claire or Chris or anybody, right? When they're using these skills in game, I feel like if I'm watching this being produced as a movie or a TV show, I want you to show me the skills that I had to produce in game on camera.
I would
Like,
agree.
and,
Take
and
those herbs and you grind them. You grind them together. You get pushed into a. They don't explain. How about this? It's just my example. It's just
go
my
ahead,
thoughts
go
from my
ahead.
head.
Yeah.
This is how you show they make an herb or make medicine in Resident Evil. They in that mansion for the first time. You're fucking it's flash on Rebecca because Rebecca's in the mansion too. Then Jill, Chris, whoever you play with first, they get swiped at. Because I mean, in Resident Evil, did you turn zombie? You turn zombies if you die. Was it? Well, how did bites work? Because you get bit a lot, but you don't die. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's a undead thing. It has to be because you
Yeah, I
don't
think it
turn into
is
a zombie when you get bit.
until you die.
It's a die thing. So fucking what's the call? It gets swiped at or whatever. Boom, boom, boom. It's hurting. Fucking Jill or Chris or whoever they get into a fucking room with a chest, which is funny because they can't do nothing with it. But it's a ha ha ha. We know what the chest is for. That's where you put your items in and shit. But anyway, so they got their back and they're looking around and they see these fucking pots of plants. It flashback to fucking Rebecca, showing them like, hey, there are certain herbs that you can find almost anywhere, and what you need to do is you need to take these herbs, you need to grind them up into a paste, and you need to rub them on your wound, cover it. It's an antibiotic. It'll help against infection. Bah, bah,
And it
bah, bah.
heals or whatever.
And it
Yeah.
heals. And Jill does that. Boom, 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 boom. She goes back out there blasting and continues down that hallway to find the gems from the fucking tiger eye.
And man, all you need is a few frames showing her grinding up a bunch of herbs. You
And
know,
that's not, yeah. All the
yeah, you
production
don't.
goes into the flashback, and she just doom
That's
doom
it.
doom. You
But
already
see,
showed us how to
you're
do it once. Doom doom doom.
100%. But we're still talking about Japanese storytelling. We're still talking about that. And
Maybe
I
they need to talk.
well, see, but the thing is, the studio that makes Resident Evil isn't Capcom. That's the problem. It's Capcom makes the PlayStation IP. You understand? Video game. The studio isn't Capcom. Capcom owns the rights. they can sell the rights to the film, but they're not involved with the creation of the movie. If they asked the opinion of these video game creators, it'd probably be different. That's like asking the Street Fighter director to go to the Street Fighter movie set.
It says developer and publisher is Capcom.
Developer and publisher.
Yeah, that's in house. Everything Capcom, not
so you telling me the first
Activision, not Cap. And I want to say this has been forever.
But what's the American studio that they use?
Capcom.
What's the studio?
Okay, so for example, dude, the first Resident Evil movie was Sony.
That's what I'm trying. Oh my God, Sony can't make a good movie then? That's what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'll take that back. Constantine Film and New Legacy Film got the rights to.
Makes sense.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. German studio Constantine Film bought the rights to adapt the series in 1997. Hold on a second. These motherfuckers. Okay. That's a smart too. They fumbled, but this is smart. Constantine Film bought the rights to adapt the series to live action in 1997. The first movie didn't come out to 2002. When did they start filming this motherfucker, dude? Production started. Bought the live film rights 1997. Hired somebody to write the script. 1998, directed television commercial. 2000.
Dang.
In 2000. So they bought the rights in 1997. 2000, they started working on it. They got a guy to work on it. He didn't look at anything except for it has zombies in it and it's caused by these people. Don't say these names. Go. That's what he did with his Resident Evil movie. And I think they still let's see who's doing a reboot. Reboot's being done by it was followed by 5 sequels and a reboot. The films received mostly negative reviews, but have grossed more than $1.2 billion, making Resident Evil the third highest grossing video game film series.
What?
Hold on. I gotta see when that reboot. Who's doing that reboot? Knock that over. But it doesn't matter. But damn. This all right. I don't we'll figure out how to end episodes, but we appreciate.
No, sorry, I'm just sending a.
No, you're straight. But the one thing I do want to say to everyone who took the time to listen, watch, do whatever, because I'm gonna make sure that because you guys can see us on camera, this is gonna be available on YouTube, on TikTok, on what clips from this on TikTok. Or whatever we're gonna do right about advertising on shit like that or whatever. But we appreciate you. First and foremost, you don't take anything from this. We appreciate your time and your support for watching this as far as you did or as little as you did, or like and share and subscribing. Thank you so much. Awesome. I'm Saint. That's Juan.
I'm
Solo. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next time. Later.
Love, peace, chicken grease.
There you go.